Hi everyone, my name's Gravy and welcome to my first film review. You may be thinking, why is the girl from TikTok now doing film reviews? Well, because I really like films. I feel like that's pretty obvious. It's all part of my larger Spider-Man plan. We'll get to that in a later date. It'll all make sense in time. Our first film review is going to be on Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I saw this movie on Christmas and I've been waiting since the first one came out. When I was a kid, I just was obsessed with the first Puss in Boots movie. I was very excited when I heard this one was going to come out. I had extremely high hopes for it, and I am happy to say that it fully lived up to my expectations. Right here, I'm going to stop talking and I'm just going to do a spoiler warning. That's what it is. If you're planning on watching this movie and you don't want any of the plot points spoiled for you, I would stop watching this video now. One more time, this is a spoiler warning. There are going to be major plot point spoilers for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish from here on out. If you don't want to see those, then click off. All right. Now, person to person. I love this movie, right? It does a really good job of not having to recap the first movie because it's a completely new story. You could watch this movie without seeing the first one. It would be not as good because you'll miss major plot connections and character build-up that happened in the first movie between Puss and Kitty Softpaws. But that's pretty much the only major thing that you would miss going into this movie. The movie starts out with a musical number, which I was a little skeptical of because I was like, this is going to be annoying. But it wasn't, because the Puss in Boots music slaps. Like, it's really good. The Puss in Boots music is really good. The movie starts off and it's basically Puss is fearless, right? Like, that's the whole thing. He's super arrogant. But if you don't know, Puss is on his 9th life, and so he's not taking it seriously. And then a wolf confronts him at a bar who he believes to be a bounty hunter and fights him, giving him his first cut across his forehead. Crazy plot point, by the way. Also, this particular scene that I'm talking about is actually amazing. It, went beyond all of my expectations for this movie because of how engaging it was and how unexpected it felt. And also, the wolf is extremely scary. If I was a kid, I was a scared little kid. Don't get me wrong. I would have been very terrified. Whatever. The wolf is the coolest character in this entire movie. After the encounter with the wolf, which is where he feels fear for the first time, he goes to Mama Luna, who's a lady who just really likes cats, and there's a bunch of cats there, and he meets Perito. Perito is a dog that lives under the house that is acting like a cat. It's a weird plot point, and I'm honestly, I thought Perito was going to be very, very annoying, and was my least favorite thing that I thought was going to go, going into this movie, I thought it was going to ruin my experience of this movie, the character.
You're a talking cat? I'm a talking cat. Let's talk.
Because it's supposed to be childlike, and 100% it should be. I just thought it was going to be too much for me, and I was going to be like, oh, I'm not a kid anymore, and that would have made me sad. It didn't. Obviously, there are points that are just specifically for kids with Perito's character, and he is a comic relief. But at the same time, his character goes through a lot. A lot of the plot points in this movie are extremely dense. They're very heavy when you're watching it. And so his positivity, it's a breath of fresh air while you're going through the movie. Anyway, the whole thing goes on, right? And then there's the Jack Horner has a map to get a wish that fell, and so whoever gets this wish, you get to make whatever wish you want. Puss goes to steal the wish from Jack Horner, and while he's there, he finds Kitty Softpaws and Goldilocks and the Three Bears, both trying to steal the wish as well. He gets away with the wish and with Kitty Softpaws, and they go with Perito. Now they're all on an adventure. It's Puss, Kitty, and Perito, and now they're all trying to get to this wish, and they go through the dark forest. And they get this wish. And there's also Goldilocks and Three Bears. Another subplot point. I would say this point of the movie doesn't necessarily mesh in with everything, but it's a really good side story, so I'm not going to knock it. They all go, and I don't want to get like too into the plot here, but Goldilocks is like a terrible person and wishes that her family wasn't her family. So that was wild for me. Then they keep going, they get to the wish, and also there's this other point where apparently Puss and Kitty were going to get married, and Puss didn't show up to the wedding, but neither did Kitty, but that's not revealed till a little bit later. Like, that's the biggest betrayal he ever did to her, because they were going to get married, and they didn't get married because he got cold feet, which was crazy. I don't know. That was wild. Later on in the movie, we find out that the wolf that encountered Puss in the bar is actually the embodiment of death. Like, just straight up death, which is super cool. His character design is really sick because he has a scythe. Is it a sickle? Okay, it might be a sickle. Puss ends up fighting him and is no longer afraid because he realizes that even if this is his last life, that he's going to live it to the fullest. And he's in love with Kitty Softpaws. And Perrito is now his therapy dog. It's the way I'm making this sound, it sounds not good. But I am telling you right now, it's a great story and it really comes together a lot better than I'm explaining it. So basically, Puss escapes death for now. Jack Horner dies.
What did I do to deserve this?
There's too much Jack Horner plot for me to get into it. He's a terrible person that kills all of his bakers. And so he dies. He dies. Puss, Kitty, and Perrito are now happy living their lives, and they're going to go, and the end of the movie ends up with them on a boat together. And you hear the Shrek 2. That's the Titanic music. What? How does it go? The theme. The DreamWorks theme. The Shrek theme. The instrumental Shrek theme. You hear that playing in the background, and then you see an island with a sign that says far, far and away, and Puss says that they're gonna visit some old friends. So, teaser for Shrek 5, I guess. It was very exciting in theaters. There's also multiple cameos from different characters. There's a Gingy cameo, Pinocchio cameo, and also Shrek and Donkey make like a really quick appearance when Puss's life flashes before his eyes. Other than that, they're not too much in it. They're definitely setting up a Shrek 5, which is going to be pretty cool with all of the Puss in Boots stuff we've seen in his solo movies now transferring into a group movie. I will say a lot of this movie felt very much like Shrek 2, and that was very interesting to me because Shrek 2 is one of the better animated movies in terms of its plot points, the way it feels, like the way it makes you feel, and just really cool scenes. A lot of that felt like that, especially the humor as well. Another point I wanted to touch on here was the animation style. The animation style is a mix of your typical 3D animation style, like Shrek, and also the Spider-Verse animation style. There is a perfect mix of it, and it is so good. The action sequences are so good, and it brings an extra element to the movie that you didn't know it needed. And it really just brings everything together, and it is so amazing. The animation style is so good. And then I wanted to touch on again, the wolf death is so fantastic. One of the best animated characters I've ever seen, just overly fantastic. The voice acting, amazing. Wagner Moura, amazing. So good. He's fantastic. Actually amazing. Voice acting is so good. The character itself is so good. The fact that he ends up being death by the end of the movie is so good. I cannot stress enough how good Death is in this movie and how scary he is in multiple scenes. There's one scene where he puts gold over his eyes and looks like the ferryman, and that scared me. It's a children's movie. Why am I getting scared? It's just so good. It brings you into it so much. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Do you think that's all I have to say?
Yeah. Are you going to rate it or are you just saying?
No, I'll give it a rating.
Okay.
So after all of that, I will give this movie a rating of 9.5 out of 10. Because a 10 is just like rare, right? But there's really nothing crazy about this movie that I would change to give it a 10. Like I said, the biggest thing was the kids scenes, but those are for kids, and like I can't knock it for that because it's a kids movie. It is just It is so good. You need to watch this movie. I really loved and enjoyed it, and it just made me so happy, and it lived up to the first one so well without having the repetition. I highly recommend seeing this movie in theaters and experiencing it on your own. I think that's the end of our first film review. Yay! All right, so thank you everyone for watching. If you want to see more content like this, leave a like and comment below on what movie you want to see next and what other movies. Also, if you could give me some tips on what you want to see more from these film reviews and what you would like me to include, and if you want me to talk more or talk less. Any suggestions are great and I'll gladly take them. Also, feel free to subscribe because I am also making gaming videos. I won! And I'm posting my Twitch VODs, so there's a lot more content coming besides just film reviews. And I am very excited to share that with everyone. So if you could subscribe and hit the notification button, that would be fantastic. And I'd love to have you as part of the community. So on that note, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye!